Okay, let's talk about all the dumb things that we've done with money.
Okay, let's do it.
So I think we need to clarify that something might be dumb to one person but not to another. There are certain financial decisions that might make sense in certain contexts. For example, buying a brand new car often isn't the best financial decision. You know, it goes down like 30% in value over the first couple years.
We've done that.
But we've done it.
And it was a good move for us.
And it actually was a good financial move, and it can be like, but you know, generally if you hang on to a car about 10 years or so, you know, you're getting a whole lot of value out of that car, and so it's less of an issue than if you were buying a new car every 2 years and trading in. Like that cycle just, you know, it isn't real great financially. Along those same lines, if you are buying a brand new house, you know, buying a house, everybody knows that that's a good financial decision as a general rule. But if you're buying a brand new one every 2 years, you know, it costs a whole lot of money to sell a house, and then it becomes not as good of a financial decision. Sometimes it's dumb, sometimes it's smart. It depends on your circumstances. You know, everybody's situation is different. Anyway, but in this video, we're going to talk about some of our dumb financial decisions that we've made and what we've learned from them, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So number one is our beloved fireplace. We have wanted a wood-burning fireplace for how long?
I mean, I think
pretty much our whole marriage.
Right.
You know, we've been wanting one. First two apartments, first apartment didn't have one. Second apartment had a ventless gas,
which smelled like gas in our apartment.
Yeah.
It was like so scary.
It's like starting your car inside the apartment or something. And then we moved into our house and we didn't have one. And
I think we
were longing for it. So we bought one of those electric ones. Not exactly the same thing.
It was a good financial decision for us at the time.
Yep.
Right?
It was very cheap.
It was very cheap.
But an electric.
We hung our little stockings on it. It was so cute.
I feel like you might as well just turn on the TV and get one of those like Fireplace
It's
apps
fine.
or something.
That's just where we were.
Yeah, but it's not a wood-burning fireplace. In our new house we moved into, they had a ventless gas fireplace, and so we decided we want a wood-burning fireplace. We want it so bad, and it's really big. It's a really big fireplace. It's beautiful. Like it needs to be a wood-burning fireplace.
Begging to be.
It really is. And so we converted this gas fireplace to a wood-burning fireplace. Seems like it's not the big a deal. Like I just thought, well, they'll just have to put a flue on the top of it or something like that. And this was a can of worms.
Yeah, it was like the money pit. Like we just kept going, oh my gosh, okay, all right, here we go.
So long story short, I mean, we converted it, and
like how much more did it cost than we think?
Oh, I have no idea.
What is the percentage?
200%, 300%, maybe 400, I don't know. So we built it, and the HOA, I asked the HOA if we need to do this, and they said no. And there was some sort of misunderstanding, and so the way we did it, like 2 months later, the HOA calls, sends us a letter and says, you got to redo that.
Happy with it.
And you know, so that was like thousands of dollars more we had to spend because the HOA didn't approve of how we did it.
It is painful to talk about this because it was like we thought we were kind of making an investment into our home, and I think maybe it would have been if we wouldn't have had to spend what we
just
spent.
So much money on it. Yeah.
But it was like it just kept going and going and going.
And then it started leaking, and just anyway. So we don't want to spend the whole video talking about our dumb mistake with that. But the fact is, we have really enjoyed this fireplace. Yes. We've been able to use it, and we've really loved it. It's been really, really fun. But I would not have paid what we've paid for it in hindsight.
And a word of caution.
Home improvements on an older home, a lot of times, and I knew this, like I knew this. I used to be a carpenter, and I did some renovation, some home renovations for a company, and I knew that projects always like start like this and then whoosh.
Yeah.
But we lived it, so.
Okay, so we know that this is a first world problem. I also believe that there are a lot of you dealing with wanting to do some home improvement projects. You either don't know what it's going to cost, or
think you know how much it's going to cost.
That's what happened to us.
That's
we thought we knew, and we didn't know. So just be prepared, be aware, be thinking of that, so you don't get caught off guard.
Double. Just save double for what you think it'll cost. Number 2 for me was buying a stock and thinking that it couldn't go all the way down to 0. And so
it sounds like a little bit of arrogance, kind of like, oh yeah, it'll be fine.
Naivete, arrogance,
Maybe
I don't know, a combination of both,
there.
I don't know. But anyway, when you buy a stock, you are a part owner in the company, And if the company goes under, if there's assets to sell afterwards, the debts get paid, and then if there's any assets remaining, then you might get something. But in my case, I got nothing from the stock that I lost all my investment on. It was a really good educational experience, so I'm not like saying it's a complete mistake because I'm taking something from it. I learned from it. But it's just a good thing to know that you can buy a stock and that it can be worth nothing. Now on the flip side, like we've actually had some investments that have done really, really well. I actually bought Amazon probably 10, 12 years ago or something. Like
Thank you.
And yeah, I think we've made like 10, maybe even 15x our investment on Amazon. And then there's a whole bunch like in between, just a little bit better or a little bit of losses. But yeah, there were maybe even 2 stocks that completely went to zero that I bought. So that's just a good thing to know. And that was, something had I been a little bit more aware, I would have maybe not made that investment or maybe not made as much of an investment in that one. But yeah, that was my mistake.
Can I guess which investment it was?
You're not going to know it.
Krispy Kreme?
No, Krispy Kreme, we lost probably 90-something% of our value. But this one was like a really obscure company. I don't even know why I invested in them, but live and learn.
You wanted to see if you could get your money back.
Sure did. Number 3 is buying a house, not for the appropriate phase of life.
Welcome
And-
to our money mistake right here.
And this is where we are
We're
right now.
living in it.
And we're literally looking
Trying to move.
house shopping right now to solve this mistake. And so when we moved to Franklin from St. Louis, we had a 1-year-old,
18 months.
18 months. So we didn't have a kid who was mobile. We knew
Right.
nothing
We
about having
had
little
one.
kids.
Yeah, we had one, and so it was like, there's 2 of us. There's only one of him.
Yeah, and on top of that, like we came and visited Franklin, right outside of Nashville, and we rented Airbnb to kind of stay here and to scout it out to see if we wanted to move here. And within 3 weeks, we bought a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we had bought a house within 3 weeks, so it moved really, really quick. We just weren't thinking through everything. We weren't thinking through the next 5-10 years of life, what that would look like. And had we been thinking about that, I think we would have thought, oh, well, what about when we have a 3-year-old and he's running in every direction and we're right on top of this really busy street that semis come down?
What about when there's more than one?
Yeah.
And when there's only
about-
one of us outside.
What
and
about there's
2
no
kids?
sidewalks, to
Right.
go on a walk, and so we had to walk down the street
A busy
again with
road.
semis coming down.
Yeah.
Like this just doesn't make any sense. And so that was
This house is a great house. It would
fast
be
forward
great.
like 7-10 years.
Yeah,
right?
in 10 years, I think,
Yeah.
for us. 10 or even 15.
Anyway,
That's okay.
So if you're ever buying a house, think
Right.
about the next 5, 10
Yes.
years, 15 years, whatever. And maybe everybody does this. Maybe we're the only ones who didn't, but it was definitely a lesson learned.
For sure.
Next on the list is, I'll let you talk about this one.
Well, not having a budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a dumb mistake I made, was I did not have a budget. I just spent what I want when I wanted. Did not manage my money at all. I just had no idea what was going on. So everything was just super chaotic.
You had no clue what
So,
was going on with your money.
I had no
basically.
clue what was going on with my money.
And
Didn't
were you
really know where it was going.
Ignoring what was happening?
And there was a little bit of me just kind of, la 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 la. I can't hear you. Okay, so I did not learn very much about money growing up. All I knew was that debt was bad. And so I got myself into this position of getting in credit card debt. That was the only thing I knew, is that I was really ashamed of it and I didn't know how to fix it. And I was so ashamed I didn't know how to ask
Did
for
you?
help.
So you were living in your parents' house. Did you tell your parents?
No.
Or were you hiding it from them?
I was hiding it.
Okay.
Again, not asking for help because I was so ashamed. Which, don't do that. Just ask for help. There's nothing to be embarrassed of. I got myself into some trouble. I had paid a bill. I had actually sent the money for a bill. It had come out of my bank account, but I couldn't tell what was what because I was not paying enough attention. And so I thought, oh no, I had just sent this money and it's going to come out and I'm going to overdraw my account. And so then I didn't pay this other bill. And so then I had bill collectors calling me. I think I cried and I was sweating profusely because I was, I don't know, probably 20 years old. And again, I was so ashamed and I just I didn't know what to do. And so I was just trying to like ignore it and hope that it would go away.
Yeah, bill collectors do not go away when you
The dust
ignore
would
them.
settle and I would figure things out,
Yeah.
but it was not good.
So what'd you learn from that?
Don't bury your head in the sand.
Yeah, and start a budget. And little link up above, a link to our budgeting course, a new budgeting course we just made too. So
Ooh,
for anybody who needs
it's going to be a
to,
good one.
for anybody who needs that. And final one on the list is going back into debt after being 100% debt free. And so we paid off our house, which was the most amazing thing in the world. And we literally had zero debt. And I felt like I was flying for months. I just felt like I am free. I am
Yeah,
free.
it was
Like it was
awesome.
so amazing. And then we moved to Franklin, and the home prices are considerably more expensive. We went back into debt. And
We kind of fell into the trap too of our business is making this amount, therefore we can spend this much.
yeah, the business was doing good, and I thought, well, you know, business is doing good. We'll still be able to get it paid off pretty quick. And then like immediately, as soon as we moved in here, the business just tick, 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 just like ticked down considerably. And so then we're stuck with this, you know, pretty decent sized mortgage still. And man,
I think the most remarkable thing about this was how you felt as the kind of financial provider.
yeah, so I went from feeling so amazingly free and liberated by not having this debt. And then once we had it and we were back under it, yeah, I felt so much burden. It was worse than it was before, considerably worse.
crazy.
And, you know, and I think it was coupled with the fact that the business wasn't doing as well. But all of it together, just there's a lot of pressure, and it just, yeah, it was bad. It really didn't feel good. And in hindsight, you know, I wish we wouldn't have gone into debt. I wish we stayed debt-free and just, you know, bought a place with what we could have afforded from the equity of the other one. But we didn't. And we won't do that again.
No.
We are shopping now for a house, and that's a non-negotiable. It's like we will be buying the house with cash. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other way. We're not going into debt for it. Some of these lessons, you just have to do dumb things to learn them, and that's one of them. Like we had to go through that to learn it, to experience it, to feel it, and then now
It's funny because
won't
I
do it
thought
again.
we knew it.
I know. I thought we
before.
knew it too. Like
We were like, yeah, we're totally sold on this. We're never going back into debt. This is awesome. And then we were like, well, this should be fine. This will be fine.
yeah,
And really, it did turn out fine. But
it did. But there was a
there was
few years of challenge and struggle that
Yeah.
was unnecessary because of that.
I agree.
So
yeah, we did go back into debt and had this mortgage again, and it was, like I said, terrible feeling. But we clawed our way back out of it again. It took us a couple years to kind of pay off the remaining amount of equity that we had in it. And then this new house we bought, which we're in right here, this is our white room. It's a white ceiling, white floor. So this new house we bought, we did end up buying completely with cash from the previous one. And yeah, pretty much this is the way it's going to be for life, right?
Yes.
After 2 different times, like we've learned our lesson. Yep.
We made a mistake. We
Learned our lesson.
Don't do it.
all right. So those are our dumb money moves and some of our money mistakes. And so I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you've done anything, maybe
no, you
not.
probably haven't. You're
Yeah.
probably way smarter
Yeah,
than we are.
yeah. But if you have any great ones you want to share them down in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this, and subscribe if you want to hear more from Linda and I talking about money and talking about, you know, some of the things we're learning. So, anyway, adios.
Have a great day.